All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of David's Saturday Night Sit Back. Tonight, I got the Kosher Barbie with me, Lauren. She is originally from Houston, Texas, and began her stand-up career in San Diego and Los Angeles, traveling all over California to perform at clubs such as Irvine Improv, Comedy Store La Jolla, and the world-famous Comedy Store, while producing and hosting shows for veterans at local VFWs. Now residing here in Austin, Texas, she takes her act back to her home state and runs weekly shows called Yuck It Up at various hot spots in the city. Lauren was a featured comic at Skankfest in her hometown in 2021, and recently she had an episodic comedy special taped called LMAOF, produced by OnlyFans TV, OFTV, in January of 2024. She's also had the great pleasure of working with headlining acts such as Ian Bagg, Whitney Cummings, Donnell Rawlings, Rich Voss, Gina Brilliant, and Joe List, while she currently tours around the country. Lauren, thank you so much for being here, and welcome to your episode on David's Saturday Night Sit Back.
Thank you for having me, David. Wow, it's so funny to hear my bio.
Bring your, I am a poor host.
There we go.
There we go.
I just figured the mic would pick up my loud projection either which way. Thank you for reminding me of my bio and my history.
Of course.
Oh boy, sounds like a lot of lifetimes. It's been a wild ride.
What goes through your head when you hear like years and years of your life condensed into a 30-second reading like that?
I get excited. I love everything I just heard. I'm like, I love doing all that shit. That was awesome. I want to do it all again and keep doing it and do whatever it takes to, find ways to keep doing it.
Yeah.
It is. It's addicting.
Comedy.
Yeah.
By the way, before I forget to greet you properly, Shalom.
Oh, Shalom. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Shabot Shalom. It's
Shabbat
Friday.
Shalom.
Yeah.
What does Shabbat Shalom actually mean?
Shabbat is every Friday is it's like we light the candles. It's, we're going into a supper where it's just preserved as a time to pray and have a meal with family, and it's basically it. Women are encouraged to cover their heads. Oftentimes when I was little, it would be with like the challah napkin, because we didn't have yarmulkes or kippas for the women. We didn't have cool. I wanted to always have like a fastener, like one of those things from the Kentucky Derby. Like, why can't I have one of those and wear that to temple? But we were at a pretty relaxed synagogue in Houston. Some might call it Reformed. There's so many varying levels of Judaism I hear now. There's like the Orthodox, Hasidic, conservatives, Reforms, and then there's like just Jewish. Those folks. I've heard of people that aren't even Jewish that go on Jewish dating apps that are like trying to find a Jewish woman, or maybe vice versa, a non-Jewish woman looking for a Jewish man. I'm like, then what's the point of the Jewish dating app? Don't they? It's kind of like the people that sign up for Kill Tony. Like, why are non-comics signing up for this when these are supposed to be spots for comics?
Does that happen a lot?
I haven't gone to KT in a minute. The last time I went was at the Cedar Park Arena when he did his first arena show, New Year's last year.
Okay.
That was super fun. That was cool because we actually got to go and watch the show from up in the stands in the arena and like see it all happen, because mostly you're just herded cattle in a pocket, slammed against each other, and you can't have your phone and all that stuff. So it was really cool to like be able to celebrate New Year's that way and watch the insanity ensue. But from what I experienced, there was one comic, I think, that was pulled, one actual comic. And then Mr. Beast came out with $10K in cash in a suitcase, and some jackass who broke his penis on something that his son came out and talked about, and then his dad got brought up on stage. This guy who didn't even do a minute was the one who went home with a suitcase full of money. Not the hardworking comic who's been at it for 8 years, who lives in his fucking car, who I know personally and have worked with in Dallas. And it was like, what is this show? What is going on here?
Yeah.
What happened to comedians, Like, why are we pulling out assholes who don't have a minute prepared, who aren't really in it? And this whole section of comics is up here just watching just buffoons being pulled out who aren't taking it seriously, like, who don't work hard. And it's just kind of like, is this a waste of time?
Let's pull Yellowstone and hang them from the noose.
Yeah. Love that show. The new season's coming out.
Is it?
yes, finally, after all the COVID and the bullshit, they finally, but Kevin's not going to be on it.
I heard this rumor.
I don't know if it's true. I'm going to still watch it, but that means
It
I have to
just
get the
seems
Paramount or the
so-
Paramount Plus or whatever. I'm going to have to figure out how to like hack it or something to get the show, because all I ever do is like get that network on a trial run and then I binge it all and then I cancel it so I don't have to pay for it. But it's messed up how they screw you like that. They have to like put it on a network that nothing else is on except for that one treasure. But I'm like, I'm going to have to go back and watch, because it was the first part of season 5. It was season 5, and then they just released half of it.
Yep.
And then COVID stalled things.
Yep.
And then I'm like, I don't remember. Kevin, are you caught up?
Yes.
Did he get shot? Sorry, listeners, but
I mean, it's been out for so long that if we
can't
spoil something,
remember.
I'll put a little bookmarker here, and if you want to skip to the next section, click it now.
Yeah.
Yes,
Spoiler alert.
He got the militia shot him. Remember, he's helping the lady change her tire?
Yes, and he's in the middle of the road.
Yep.
Okay, so they kind of make it obvious if he's not.
But we have the season after that. That was into season 3. We still had in all of season 4.
And he was back.
He's back.
Yeah, I need a refresher. I just can't wait for some Beth fucking Dutton, my hero. Talk about the queen of one-liners. She's the best.
I am the tornado. You are the trailer park.
I just, yeah. Look,
She's so good.
She's so good. Like, Dad, if you're going to have a hooker, you better get a good one. You know, and she's like, well, at least I didn't have to pay for those tits. She's like, oh no, God gave me these, and you know what? I think he gave me yours too. It's the chick from Coyote Ugly. She's flat as fucking Montana in some parts. Yeah. Beth Dutton, man, that's how I get pumped up for shows. I either listen to like hardcore rap music, or I put on like the YouTube of just the back-to-back-to-back Bethisms.
Do you actually?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's how I get pumped up.
She's one of my dream guests.
Oh, do you have her? Kelly. Yes.
If you're listening,
she's British.
'cause I know you are.
I'm going to meet her one day.
Me too.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll meet her here.
She's a British gal, though. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, you can't tell. And she's playing a cowgirl.
I know.
A cow lady.
She won't ride, though. I think they finally get her on a horse because of that awful thing that happened with her mother.
They do.
Yeah, she's been through some painful shit. It's it's like Sons of Anarchy, but cowboy style in a way.
We watched the exact same shit.
Yeah.
Sons of Anarchy.
I love
that
SOA,
show.
Baby. Watched it twice. Game of Thrones 3 times.
Yes. Yep. Game of Thrones.
It gets better every time.
Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah. At least 3 times.
I have a friend watching it for the first time right now.
I'm so jealous. Like, I'm on that journey with them.
Yeah.
I'm on, like witnessing it through a first-timer's eyes. Are they checking in with you? And
Oh, yeah.
dude, this is amazing. Or some people can't handle it. Some people are just like, this is too scary, or it's too dark, or I just don't have the wherewithal to tolerate, or, the endurance for all this death and darkness. And
He loves it.
yeah, good.
Yeah, he
Good
loves
man.
it. Him and me have 2 very different opinions on something. Let's get your take on this. What did you think about Walter letting Jane die?
That was Kristen Ritter,
I'm so bad with their names.
his
in real life.
girlfriend, Jesse's girlfriend.
Jesse's girlfriend.
Yeah, the brunette.
The one who overdosed. And remember how she's puking up
Yeah,
and Walt could have
there was a
turned
moment,
her,
right.
and he could have called 911 and instead he just
Yeah.
watched her pass.
I think he felt such a kinship with Jesse and saw that as a distraction and saw him going down that, he just let it happen. I think he was like, I need my business partner. I can't do this alone, and I like what I'm doing, and I like the money that's coming in. Because I've been in a situation not cooking meth.
I was gonna say we're about to get a wild story.
I've been in the botanical industry before in Los Angeles, where I was working dispensaries and using weed maps as basically a database to go door to door as like a pharmaceutical rep with a product with a company that sold concentrates and oils in the very beginning 10 years ago, when the solvents and the butanes and the ethanols were removed from the flour and broken down into the oils that we smoke out of pens nowadays. I don't anymore. But yeah, that was that was a pioneering thing happening in LA. And pot was already on its way to being legal. I think it was legal already.
that was gonna be what I asked you. Was it legal?
It was, you just needed the card,
Okay.
the little card, which was a joke to get. And then it became officially legal. And then so I forget, I've been sober 5 years, so I don't know. But when I come back to Texas, I like forget that you can't get liquor if I ever have to buy it for something at a CVS. Because in California, you can. There are some cool things about California. Yes. I don't know if the laws have changed since I've been here. But pot too, you know, you just walk into a shop. You don't even need the card anymore. You just, I think, show your license.
When I went to California, so I've never been a big weed smoker. I had tried it a couple times when I was younger, and I just genuinely didn't like how it made me feel.
Yeah.
So back when I went to California, like 8 months ago, me and a friend, he needed to go pick up some stuff from a dispensary, and I was like, can I just buy some too? And he's like, yeah, you got your driver's license. It was weird how easy it was.
It's so easy. Yeah. I think that's one of the things is I always heard about, you know, with drugs being normalized in, say, Amsterdam, that people don't abuse it as much because it's so accessible. It's there, and people, like, the novelty of it wears off. Like, as a human being, when you know it's something illegal and you can't get it and it's naughty and it's stuff like that, then it's the sizzle effect, like this, the appeal of it is a little bit more alluring. But I think eventually that does fade, and you just know. It's like me with barbecue here. I know it's always there. I'm comparing drugs to barbecue now. It can be, because whenever my friends from California come in town to visit, they just want a meat tour the whole time. Right. And so I'm just really prepping myself for the next visit for the meat sweats. I know I live around the corner from Terry Black's. Like, I know it's there, and I never want it. I think the same thing kind of goes with pot being legal. It's just been so long. It's like parties, it's been a thing. And then I come here and I forget, like, people still have to have, like, secret drug dealers and shit to get their weed. And that's just so insane to me. I forget, because I haven't smoked in so long. But yeah, I'm like you. I smoked a lot of pot in high school. When I moved to San Diego, it was just like a way of life. And then I got prescribed Adderall, and I was like, this is way more fun. I'm way more productive and getting more shit done. And then I found cocaine, and I was like, okay, this is more fun. What else? Like, what else can we keep? Like, pot is just so in the rear view at this point. I don't even, Theo Vaughn says it best. It's a confusing spice. That's always one of my favorite things he says. About weed. Weed is a confusing spice. He says that in my favorite set that he ever does with What the Hell is Happening at the strip club. I think it's on Comedy Central, and it was like, pot will make you forget how to get home. Cocaine will make you forget how to get to heaven. So there's the difference. Which one sounds more fun to you?
The result of this podcast is I'm gonna try cocaine for the first time.
Whoa, are we gonna do it right here? Am I gonna get to witness it?
I mean, I don't.
No, I'm not packing, dude. The booger sugar has not been anywhere near me.
Booger sugar.
Yeah, that's what I always call it, devil's dandruff.
Was there, since you grew up, did you grow up Jewish?
I did.
So do you remember when you were like 10 years old, if there was anything that was forbidden? And then, like, when you were 17 or something, you finally got to try it for the first time?
No, not much. I mean, it was semi-frowned upon. You know, we were pretty, like, relaxed Jews. We went to temple. Like, we would go on Sundays, especially as I was prepping for my bat mitzvah. Hebrew school was Mondays and Wednesdays, and then we go to Sunday school. And that was, like, pretty rigorous, that schedule, for many years, up until I hit 13. And then after I hit 13, then it was pretty much, like, didn't have to go to Sunday school anymore, no more Hebrew school, but we would go for, like, Passover and Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Purim, you know, like the big holidays, much like this type of maybe Christians that go just on Christmas Eve or whatever. They don't go to church every Sunday. But, you know, in keeping kosher, there's certain foods you're supposed to abstain from consuming, and that's swine, so pork, bacon, you know, ham, Canadian bacon, anything that tastes delicious in that realm of that animal. And then a crustacean. So bottom feeders, like dirty things, like, and stone crab is like my favorite food in the whole world. I love it because my dad's from Florida, and my grand folks lived down in South Florida, like Miami. So Joe's stone crab is God's gift to the world. They just opened one in Vegas. Best key lime pie. Like, the next closest thing is Trulux. But that is like my meal. My final meal is stone crab, colossal claws, fucking, you know, crisp Caesar salad and a key lime pie, dude. Or just the claws and the key lime. That's fine with me. That'll do it. Just a mountain on some ice, and yeah. But I'm not supposed to, like, as a good Jew, you're not supposed to eat crustaceans. So shrimp, lobster, crab, or swine. Those are not kosher animals.
What are you going to eat that crab with?
What am I going to eat it with?
In the sense of like, do you need some like garlic butter, or do you just?
It's like cocktail tartar sauce, tartar, or just the red sauce. Cocktail sauce is great, or just lemon.
All right.
It's so fucking good as it is. It's so buttery and delicious. I used to be such a lobster freak, and then I had stone crab, and I'm like, oh, we're switching teams. And what's very humane about stone crabs, in case PETA or any animal activists are listening, because you know there's always one in the comments. Right. Stone crabs' claws grow back, so they will rip the claw, and they throw them back in the ocean, and then it grows back, kind of like a lizard's tail.
No way.
Yeah. I'm sure there's probably other stuff. Well, did you know that this also happens when they do it? I mean,
but then it can't defend itself because it only has one arm, and the sharks come in.
What do you mean? You'd be like the drummer from Def Leppard. He's still killing the game.
Right. So did you guys have a, like, it sounds like it was sort of casual, but would your parents have stuff like, you know, no premarital sex, no drinking, no drugs, no cursing, no.
Was all there the like Catholic things,
or Christian? I was raised Christian.
Or
that was
Christian.
like all of our
same thing.
Yeah.
I rope y'all into the same umbrella. There's so many different ones. I guess there's all these different varying levels of Judaism, but it's all Judaism. It's not like Lutheran, Baptist, Presbyterian, Pentecostal, all the different kinds. Like it sounds like Baptists are the coolest because y'all get to decide when you want to be baptized. That's what I read. And honestly, like Baptist sounds the most hardcore, but it sounds like it determines, because I'm listening to Jessica Simpson's audiobook right now. I need things on the road all the time when I'm on the road. And it's already out of the gate. She's talking about being molested. Of course, she grew up with a pastor as a father. It's the same fucking story I've heard so many times. It's horrible. But why is the same story being duplicated so many times? Like, with the daddy as the pastor. Do you know how many people I know that have the same story like her? It's and a lot of it in the Bible Belt of the country. But she was talking about, damn it, I forgot, being a virgin, purity rings, all that stuff. But I never was, I'm sure it wasn't condoned, but I didn't have to follow that. I just actually joked about it earlier today. There's a store in Texas. I think it might be all in the South. It's a Christian jewelry store. It's called James Avery. They're all around. You'll see them in Austin. They used to have one at the Austin Bergstrom Airport next to the Starbucks as soon as you get through security. So it's beautiful silver pieces. They're big on the charm bracelets too. Those obnoxious dangly things that like the moms in the 90s would wear.
My mom wore those.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Everyone had a mom who did. And then, the charms, it was just like part of like sororities and stuff. So a lot of girls that I grew up with in Houston all had rings on. And of course I noticed this. And I said, well, why, Mom, why I need to get one of those rings? Why do they all have these rings? She said, well, honey, those are promises to keep themselves sweet, before marriage, until marriage. And I said, well, do I get one of those? She said, well, we don't have those. We're Jewish. So I'm like, so we're cooler. So we're more fun. And so I did feel a little slighted, a little different, but it also made me feel a little bit cool because I didn't want to be like everybody else. I didn't want to be a lemming. And I'm like, well, all these girls can preserve this. And then I go off to college and find out, yeah, they're preserving their virginity. They're just taking it up the tailpipe instead. Sounds like an insane loophole.
It's like what's the religion that invented soaking?
What's soaking?
You haven't heard of this yet?
Does it involve bathing?
No. So it's when the idea is that like you have to have a bunk bed and 3 people, and the couple goes on the top bunk.
Okay.
And then the guy just like slightly inserts the tip of his dick into her vagina, and then the person on the bottom bunk like bumps the bed to create the thrusting motion, because then they're not technically having sex.
What?
Because it's the friend doing it.
Okay, yeah. This is totally an education for me. I've never heard of this before. Soaking. How have I not known?
One of my friends told me about it because we on the podcast. But I learned too, just myself, just a few months ago, and I'm like, but they're still having sex, and he's like, no, he's not, because they're not doing anything. It's the friend doing it.
Okay.
And I'm like, then they're gonna get the friend condemned by God.
That's ridiculous. I'm never gonna look at bunk beds the same again. Oh my God, what a weird like glory hole situation. And then does the guy on the bottom switch? Do they switch places?
Oh, that's weird.
How do you become the one on the bottom? I guess
the
you can ask
single
all the
gay
gays in the
friend
man.
who
Yeah,
has nothing
all the
better
fags
to
in
do.
the world.
You're not recording a podcast tonight? Can you come over and shake my bunk bed for me?
Oh my God.
Sure, Jack. Coming right over.
I need to meet somebody who's actually done this. I'm sure I went to college with them. So I went to Southern Methodist University, and I don't know what makes a Methodist a Methodist. All I know is that like less than 10% of my school was Methodist. There's really no reason to call it that. I always say it should just be Southern Meth University or Southern University. Take out the Methodists completely because they let Jews in. So yeah, it was quite an international school, to be honest. Like a lot of the people that came there for scholarship for athletics were from all over the world, I guess because it was a private school. But it was fun. That's where like all my booger sugar started. Was in college.
Just because everyone was doing it, or?
Not because everyone was doing it. It's very hush hush, and that's what I loved about it. Again, the allure, the secret. Like I'm doing something naughty, and it's fun, and nobody's gonna know. But it's a miracle when people start to catch on. They're like, why is she getting so skinny? Why does she never eat? Why is she always out of money? Oh, they do know. They do. Why is she always going to the bathroom like every 20 minutes? What's going on with her? And I thought I just had my own little best kept secret. No, it turns out like people caught on. But I had like very secretive friends. My girlfriend, I won't name her name, but she's still one of my best friends today. And she's definitely a mom now and not as wild as she once was, as I'm not either. But when we were in college, so she came to my dorm room freshman year. It was first semester, or was it second semester? I don't know. I was like 19. So she came to my dorm room and she's like, I have something fun to bring before we go out tonight. And I'm like, okay, I just think she's bringing, booze or whatever. Right. And I don't know. I don't even know where the fuck she got it. We're in Dallas. Like, it's not like we're near a border. Houston, maybe, whatever. Like Austin's even closer, but Dallas is in the middle. So it's like, who knows what this shit's been cut with by the time it reaches the center of Texas. And yeah, I just like, we did it in my dorm room. I'm like, oh my God, this stuff is awesome. This is so fun. This is so cool. Can we take it with us when we go out? And then pretty much that just teed off a tailspin of like a decade plus of doing the devil's dance with the dandruff. It was quite a party. Always.
So as someone who's only who's only done drugs, who's only done drinking and high, what's it like?
And high.
Really need to finish this coffee.
Pot.
On pot. Thank you. What does cocaine feel like? What's it do for you or to you?
So it just gives you a pizzazz, it jazzes you up. It's like spirit fingers. Just like think of like, I say it lit me up like a menorah, you might say a Christmas tree. So you're just like, think of like when you plug in you light for the crazy, like 8 crazy nights, it's like one candle and then like they all go ablaze. It's like, I don't know. You're off to the races. I never did coke when I didn't have alcohol, like a belly full of booze already. So that was the catalyst. Thinking about cocaine without alcohol in my system sounded disgusting. But together, it is a pair. It is quite the pairing. So yeah, I would drink and then we'd already be looking around for it. Well, how are we going to get it? Who's got it? We got to get it now. And then all of a sudden it's 4 a.m. and you're like, wasn't it just like 7? How did this happen? And now we're playing like heads up on our phone, just talking nonsense, trying to save the world, That's the thing. These coke chats, they're just all about nothing, in circles, doing nothing, bullshit. And then it would make me smoke cigs, which was also like going hand in hand of just like a ripple effect of shit, because I'm drinking the alcohol and then I want the cocaine, then I want the cocaine, then I want the cigarettes. Just bad things after another. But I am not encouraging you to do it. This is remarkable that you are a holy vessel, that your snout has never received the powder, the fine white powder. So, and I certainly, if you're going to do it, why don't you take a quick trip to Miami and actually get the real shit before it's cut,
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, don't do it here in Austin. And be
Dallas.
careful. Be so careful. Like, I'm giving you the PSA.
The title of this episode, How to
Test
Safely
it
Do
first.
Cocaine.
Yeah, there's apparently some testing strips out on the market, something a previous coke addict didn't need to hear, but apparently you can take little, like, strips that people use that kind of resemble those, like if you want to pee on a stick, if you're in ketosis, well, you can dip it in like your fun bag, your little fun dip bag, and check to see if it has any traces of fentanyl. So you just never know when you're going to get the wrong batch. I didn't worry about that stuff. Like when I was doing it, that one really wasn't a concern. It didn't start becoming like more of a prevalent problem until after I quit. So I think about it now, and I've lost friends. On a more serious note, yeah, it's like no fucking around. Just like seriously tread lightly. It's very scary.
I don't think I will at this point. I feel like if
I'm saying don't do it because you will fucking like it.
Okay. I think part of when you were saying like it's unbelievable that I've never tried it. I think that even though I stopped going to church when I was like 24 or something, that much religion, it's not like it just flips off.
Yeah.
At least for me, you know what I mean? So it's not like one day I decided to stop going to church, and then I also decided, like, I'm also going to be gay. I'm also going to go have sex. I'm also going to go have cocaine. Like, it's stuck with me.
Well, good.
So even, like, starting drinking, like, I remember my first couple drinking when I started drinking in college and whatnot, even that still felt sinful. And I'm like, I don't even know if I believe in God. Yeah, I feel guilty about having this whiskey and coke.
How old were you?
It's weird.
Your first drink?
Well, my very first one ever was on my 21st birthday.
Oh, my God.
Innocent little boy.
Oh, wow.
Not anymore.
Holy shit.
Yeah, no, I waited till I was 21. And you know what I got? Everyone should have known I was gay just hearing this story. I got a pina colada.
Oh, my God. It's like what you drink in 8th grade, dude. Right. A pina. There's not even any alcohol in that. You are a fag. That is ridiculous. What kind of friends do you have that didn't hand you a shot? Like, where are you from again?
Northern California, Sacramento.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was with my friend Christy Green.
Okay, Christy, we're going to have some words. We're going to have some chats. I know what kind of guys you're hanging out with. I hope they're...
She moved to Vegas. That's wild to me. I know people are born in Vegas.
Yeah.
I know people vacation in Vegas. But when she told me that she was pregnant and they were gonna go raise that baby in Vegas, it's like,
that's not what you think. It really isn't. My brother lives in Vegas, but he lives on the outskirts of the Strip. Like, there's really some beautiful suburbs. Like Lake Las Vegas is incredible. Summerlin. There's a lot of stuff being built out there. My brother owns a restaurant in in a shopping center because he's in commercial real estate. It's beautiful. Like when you just look at the desert as your canvas in the back. Vegas is awesome. Like the Comedy Cellar in the Strip is right next to a 24-hour AA meeting. Like it's any city that you think of like, oh my God, wild, like Miami. Like usually those cities have a huge recovery community. Any city that has the most partying, like New York, Miami. I'm not too familiar. I forgot he was there. Vegas for sure.
excuse me.
Yeah, no problem. But go experience Vegas in other ways. Like I've stayed in hotels that are non-gaming when there's not even casinos down on the bottom floor. It's really relaxing if you're like going out all night and you're doing shows or seeing shows or whatever, and you're having like the typical Vegas night, whatever you're celebrating or doing, working, and then you go back to a quiet hotel that doesn't have the ting 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 going on like all night. Yeah, I love Vegas. I love it. It's just it's showbiz, dude. Yeah. Celine Dion's coming back. I've never seen her live. There's so many awesome people that are getting residencies there all the time. Oh. So, and I've seen like every Cirque du Soleil show. I just like love, like,
Are those fun?
Oh, fuck. They're so great. They're so great. And they do come like little satellites. They do come to your city. Like they came to San Diego all the time. Other cities, if you can't make it to Vegas, they'll come to other mainstream cities, like some sort of a copy of the show, and it's still just as good. But then it's just like the feeling of being in Vegas. Like the Elvis one was amazing, Absinthe, the Love one for the Beatles, the Michael Jackson one, which is like all about being underwater. I mean, I've seen them all. The original Cirque du Soleil. Yeah, they're sick. There's just like so much talent, and I relate to those people so much because when they took live performances and live entertainment away in 2020, I mean, just think about all those people. Like we all couldn't work. Yeah, that is fucked. And fuck the man that did it to us. Yeah. And I think we all know who that is.
God.
No. God is dog backwards.
This is true.
Yeah, fuck the cat people. Are we worried about the dog right now?
I'm not worried. I just am wondering why he's pulling apart the firewood.
Oh, well, it's
He
something to
just
chew on.
It's something to do.
Yeah.
And he literally is just chewing on
Maybe he got into some cocaine and he's just feeling like he's got to do something with his teeth. I don't know.
I think he did. He was on the streets for we don't know how long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good kind of dog then. You
Yeah.
want a street smart one. You don't want one of those purebred pieces of shit. Here's my ask about that. When people get so mad, PETA again or whoever, like, you should be adopting. You shouldn't be getting a dog from a breeder. Okay, so say everyone just starts adopting from the pound and whatever rescues. Then what happens to the dogs that are purebred? What are they supposed to do? What are we supposed to do with those dogs? We hate them.
The owners.
They're so shitty. Oh my God.
The owners end up putting them in a box in a forest, and then they become the rescue dogs.
Right. Ultimately, I guess that's what happens.
Right. But then their parents would die and then their kids would be breeding with other dogs. So eventually we would just have no purebreds anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Then just inbreds.
Right. We'd have a bunch of fads.
That's what Frenchies are. They're inbred. You have to C-section them. They have very small litters. Their heads are too big to come out vaginally, so you have to C-section them. That's why they're so expensive. Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
And that's why they have so many fucking health problems. They're cute as hell, though, but damn, dude. That dog had better insurance than I did. God, I miss her. She's just like a little attention getter.
Where is she now?
She's in doggy heaven.
Okay.
Yeah, where all dogs go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why did you decide? Do you drink anymore?
No.
Drugs anymore?
No.
All right, that's what I thought. Yeah, I figured. When and why did you decide to do that? To stop doing that?
Stand-up comedy is a big part of that reason. I lost 3 people very close to me, different stages of my life. My cousin, childhood, passed away at a very young age, and then a friend of mine in San Diego. I used to be a real estate broker. I was very close with her, and she died tragically in a car accident that definitely involved alcohol. Still have a lot of unanswered questions about what happened that night. That was in San Diego. And then my cousin was like a few weeks later, and then literally en route to my cousin's funeral in College Station, Texas, where like A&M is. I got a call from a friend informing me about a friend of mine from high school in San Diego that I also went to college with in Dallas who overdosed. And so as I was going to his funeral back in San Diego, leaving my cousins in Texas, I was still living in California at the time, everyone was partying. Like, you know how they say, this is how he would have wanted it, you know, that kind of stuff. Everyone's doing blow, everyone's partying. We're in our Del Mar, in our old hood, at our old haunt, and everyone's getting fucked up. And I just remember, like, sobering up, having a super sobering moment around 10 o'clock that night after, like, we did his service, and then we went to the after party. And it just hit me, like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm over it. Like, I'd already started doing stand-up. And I'd already realized, like, oh, fuck, I've gotten over this fear, and I found something I really, really love because I've done so many jobs that I fucking hated ever since I got out of college. I didn't even want to go to college. I wanted to go to Hollywood and act, and my parents wouldn't let me. So I knew somehow, some way, and it took me a very long way, the hard way, to finally get to such a threshold of pain that I decided to, like, get on the other side of that fear and take a chance. And then I fucking loved it. And then I was like, okay, I love this, and I don't want to fuck it up. And so it just stopped being fun. You know, I had a good long run, you know, almost 15 years of professional partying all over the world. And, it got to be like a very lonely place, a very dark place. After party, you know, would sometimes be party of one where it was just me staying up all night doing blow and having to pick up the pieces the next day and like my responsibilities. And I just was over it. And I didn't know when the day was going to come that I was over it. But after you lose 3 people at a young age, it's kind of like a wake-up call. You're like, you know what? I need to live for them. I need to do, and then I need to take risks, and I need to go do what I really want to do because this trajectory I'm on is not going to end up anywhere good. So, yeah, I dealt with it twice last night, drinks being offered to me and people just being like, what the fuck? And in a way, almost thinking like, oh, you don't
Do they really react like that?
Yeah, sometimes. I had it happen last night.
Huh.
Yeah. By this crazy redneck comedian who fucking like was ready to make me drink. And if I was still drinking, This guy was making me a tequila shot with clamato. Oh my God, talk about like white trash.
What's that?
Clamato, it's like the juice that they put in Bloody Marys and shit. It's nasty. There's shellfish in it. It's nasty. Clamato as in clam. You seem really worried about the dog.
Not worried. I was just going to tell him to walk on the other side of the camera because I had a feeling he was about to go right through the wires.
Oh.
You know what's funny about
It's too hot for him to be outside.
You know what, though? He will go on that porch and sunbathe, and he'll be out there. I'll peek at him through the window, and he'll be... and he's just content. He's not even trying to come back.
He's an animal.
Inside. Yeah, he is. I mean, his ancestors didn't have... second-floor apartments with podcast studios to vibe in. They just had to deal.
Totally.
You know what's funny about the comedian reacting like that is I feel like, this is not an exact number, but I feel like the comedians in Austin are like 50% sober, 50% not. Like, do you happen to know Nat Rogachevsky?
I do.
He was my third guest.
That's what you asked me when you first reached out.
Oh, yeah. That's right. We talked about this. That's right. Because I've met him, and I feel like... and then there's the guys like Fast Night who are comedians, and we were drinking, we were smoking, we weren't doing cocaine. But I'm just surprised that he wasn't like, oh, okay, you're part of that group of comedians that's sober. I have another guy coming over next week, Joe. I'll look up his name after. I forget at the moment. Same thing. I asked him, I was like, can I have anything for you to drink while you're here? And he's like, Diet Coke. And I was like, all right, do you drink? Just curious. And he was like, no, I've been sober for a while now.
I mean, I don't really truly feel, even if you are somebody who drinks, if you're showing up to a podcast where, unless it's like the Drinking Bros podcast, like where it's the culture. I mean, this is kind of like a professional appearance, you're showing up to, I would never want to just be shit-faced, just like I never would want to be on stage.
Right.
The same thing goes for podcasts, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need to sit here and get high and smoke a joint and just like talk about nothing.
You mentioned in the same sentence, I think, something about when I asked you why you stopped, something about how you're doing a bunch of jobs that you didn't even like, and also that you were afraid of something. Was the fear of like leaving corporate America to go try this like crazy stand-up comedy thing, or am I making some sort of link that wasn't a link?
I think for me, coming up as a kid, and not just goes for a lot of kids, there's societal norms and restrictions, and those things are placed on you heavily with pressure that this is the way life should look, and this is the path you need to be on to take. You get good grades, you have extracurriculars, you don't drink, you don't party, don't get knocked up, get to college. Certainly if you had a parent that didn't go to college, they're probably going to pressure that even more. You're going to go to school, you're going to get a great job, and you're going to be set, and you're going to be so happy, and then you're going to get married, and then you're going to have babies, and you're going to do all this stuff, and by X time, I don't know if there's like a time when all that needs to be accomplished, but that kind of map and road, for my life just never really fit, never really felt true to me, and I was always a little thespian, like I was always acting in plays, and dragging my mom to auditions. Once I said, okay, we're in California now, I'm going to make the most of it. And so I finally had a talent agency that wanted to sign me. I was 17, so still a minor. It was my senior year in high school. I was in La Jolla, where the Comedy Store is, one of them. And I did really, really well. I kept like advancing into smaller groups. And I was finally in this final group out of 500 people. And they loved me, and I did this Eliza Doolittle little number. Are you familiar with Audrey Hepburn, My Fair Lady? And I was doing, her wonky little Yankee voice, and they loved it. And they said, we want to sign her. Can she start right away? And my mom did that thing that parents do. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it at home. And then it was like, I already know this. It's an immediate no. So you get thrown into college. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to make the most of college. I'm going to get fucked up for 4 years and get a bachelor's. It's a BA, Bachelor of the Arts. No, it's bachelor's in alcoholism. And I somehow graduated. I did broadcast journalism. I studied film. And I just always knew somehow, some way, it was just deep in the pits of my soul, like embedded in my DNA. I will find a way to get there again, whatever it takes. But it was a lot of fear. Like I'm going to fail. I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't have that type of resilience. Go do sales for a long time, and then you'll build some thick skin. Go do it in cities like Dallas and LA, and it'll come. Yeah. Rejection, you'll start to understand. And then, yeah, I hated what I was doing. I was constantly partying. And that voice just doesn't go away. Like, it doesn't. I took some acting classes in LA, a really wonderful woman by the name of Leslie Kahn in Hollywood. And it was like a 2-month thing called an acting buffet. And it was, method acting, stage acting, like for plays, improv. It was like a sampling of all the different types of acting, commercial acting. And then it came to a point where we were like doing our headshots and they were acting as if they were casting agents and kind of type casting us, saying what we'd be good for. And like one girl was like, you'd be like great for CW Network and you'd be great for Disney. And they came to me and they said, you should do stand up. Well, that's not what I fucking signed up for. I want to do movies on the big screen and like be on TV shows and do this kind of stuff. I want to be on TV. And so that really hit me hard because I didn't like what I was hearing. But at the same time, seed was planted and it didn't go away. And then more and more people, Theo Vaughn told me to my face. I was living in LA at the time. This was 10 years ago. I didn't start doing stand-up until San Diego. But I lived in an area called Manhattan Beach in the South Bay. Beautiful, beautiful area. And every Monday night, my buddy Dano Carter, who's still to this day, I think the show is 10 years old now. It's at Poncho's in Manhattan Beach, one of the oldest restaurants in Los Angeles. They opened up one in Vegas, in Summerlin. And he runs a show on Monday nights there. Sam Morrell, fucking Theo, Ali Wong before she got her special, Brian Callen, Morgan J, you name it. Like, the biggest names in this business have come through that little bar show and they work shit out. Like, I remember Ali Wong rolling up with her first baby. She had a shitty little like Toyota and she was a writer for the TV show Fresh Off the Boat. And she would just piss and moan. Like, finally, Dano reached out and said, I can't tag out. He would secretly message me, Allie's going to be at the show tonight. You got to come. Because he knew how much I loved her and he knew how much I loved stand-up. And he said, we can't advertise her name anymore because she's about to get a Netflix special. And then Theo's Netflix special, first one came out. And I was just watching this like happen for these people that I would watch at this bar show on Monday nights, with like 15 comics. It's the best kept secret. And one night I got to talking to Theo like after a show and I was just chatting away like, and he's like, have you ever done stand up before? And I'm like, here we go again. Oh my God.
So at the time that he said this to you, you were not doing stand up in any way,
I was
shape, or
running
form.
around. I was working in restaurants, selling weed. I just gotten laid off from yet another corporate America job. I used to be a recruiter, a headhunter. And so anytime I was working in a corporate job, I was always like taking my PTO hours to try to go on auditions. And if you know Los Angeles at all, when you work in Culver City, which is just a hair north of LAX airport, but you got to drive all the way the fuck to Hollywood. Like, I had a lot of gynecologist appointments. Yeah, this one's going to be like 2 hours long. I don't know how it's going to take, It's like, gotta get her tuned up. But yeah, I was like living a lie because I didn't want to be there. I hated what I was doing. I was in a cubicle all day, strapped to a fucking headset. And no one was working remote then. No one was really allowed to. Like, you could maybe have summer Fridays from Memorial Weekend to Labor Day. You'd get a half day. But a lot of it was heavily involving happy hours with clients, constantly drinking. And then I'd want cocaine. And then it would be like Bender. But I just was ultimately miserable with my purpose. I felt like I had none. And inside I knew what it was and I had to figure out how to get there. So I kept on with the acting, but then when I got back to San Diego and I started doing real estate, I became even more unhappy with that. That's when I was really fucked up on cocaine one night. And one of the only probably good decisions I made on a belly with booze and a snot, my snout full of blow is that I bought a workshop at a comedy club online. I just bought it. And little did I know, it was like $200. And it was at the Comedy Palace. It's now called the Mic Drop, and I still call it my home club. It's very near and dear to my heart. And I ended up, it was like every Saturday you'd go for 2 hours for 6 weeks. And then after that, there was a showcase of like whatever remaining members of the class, because a lot of people drop off. They're like, this ain't for me. I can't do it. And I'm not doing this shit. So there was maybe like 12 that started, and then maybe half were retained. And you do a show, like a real show at the end of the workshop. And then I started running an open mic there on Tuesday nights. It was just me and like 50 dudes, usually, breathing over my neck. When am I up? When am I up? Am I next? And I was just like, get real used to, backhanding these autistic little shits. But it was just like, I just dove right in, and because I loved it, and I just, and then I started a show, like a real show. So then that's when the veteran thing came into play, and I started running it. Like, I was living by the beach cities in San Diego. So that just kind of happened organically. That was a place that I used to booze at. And I was like, there's a stage in here, and they like loved me in there, and I was like, can we do a comedy show? And then it's still going. Now that I've lived in Texas, my good buddy Andrew Norelli, who is a vet in this industry, I mean, he's a Letterman guy. He's been on every late night show. He's a clean comic. He performs for like Microsoft and Google and shit. Like,
what's a clean comic?
A clean comic is somebody that doesn't just talk about like doesn't cuss, doesn't talk about edgy shit.
Like soaking.
Like soaking, as I've now been so aggressively informed of. Cool. I'll have to work that in somehow. Like Nate Bargatze is an example of like a cleaner
I know
comic.
Him. Yeah. Okay.
Who else is clean? Ellen, debatably,
DeGeneres?
only will throw out one F-bomb. Jerry Seinfeld, clean comic. I'm blanking on others, but there's a couple. Jen Weiler, are you familiar with Jen? She's like a local legend. She's a nationally touring headliner. She's a mom. She's 6 foot tall. She's redhead. She has 6 kids. Very Catholic. She has her like target audience of moms and stuff, but she keeps her stuff to talk like Catholic humor and family humor and lighter stuff. So it's a miracle if she ever books me, but she had me on her Cap City show not too long ago, just to mix it up.
Nice.
Thanks, Jen. Clean comedy. You do get booked more. It's not as fun, in my opinion, for me.
For you, why is it not as fun?
Because it's just not my vibe. It's not my style.
Right.
Because my freedom to be able, like, at the Vulcan last night, I mean, dude, the stuff that I just feel free as a bird. It's so liberating. It's just like, I don't care. I don't fucking care. I'm just going to say what I want to say.
Yeah.
And I have been in so many environments, whether it's pretending to be this person who gives a shit about you wanting to buy your first house, or trying to help this homie relocate with his family and negotiate a salary for him so he can get out of India to come to Los Angeles. And he thinks that he's going to make more money there. Like, no, not necessarily. Cost of living is higher in Los Angeles. That doesn't mean they're going to pay you more. Like that kind of stuff, pretending to care for so many years about all of these fruitless, meaningless, fucking empty, vapid jobs, and then finally just feeling like you can be yourself. It's very, very freeing. Yeah. And then it kind of makes you stop wanting to put shit up your nose and getting drunk all the time. It's weird how that works.
When do you feel like you're most yourself? Is it when you're on stage?
Oh, fuck yeah.
What was your very first ever performance? Was it the one at the end of that 6 week? Was that your first ever?
Yeah.
How'd it go?
It was great.
You did good?
Yeah, you could pull it up on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long ago would that have been?
Let's see. That was 2018. 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's about 6 years ago. I might try to find that just for funsies.
Yeah. I think it's my first YouTube post. It probably is.
Yeah.
My friend Jonathan Bird, what up, Birdman? He taped it, and it was at the Palace, and it was awesome. And I wore my Houston Rockets Hakeem Olajuwon jersey that used to be like a dress on me when I was a little kid, but now I wear it and it fits. And so I was like repping Houston. And yeah, all my friends came. Like I had it was like a huge, like packed room. And we did like 6 or 7 minute sets. And I was just like, oh my God, so hooked. So yeah, went really well. But like I really prepared for it. Did a ton of writing, did all of my assignments, made sure that I was taking it really seriously. And I would just watch people like bow out, like not show up for class on Saturdays. And I'm like, sucks to be them.
On the opposite
Move
side
out of the way, trim the fat.
On the opposite side of that notion, when I was in going to accounting for school, something similar would happen where on day one, a class would be like 55 students, and by the time we got to finals, it was like 12 of us.
Wow.
But I was the opposite, where I was like, sucks to still be here.
Yeah.
I wish I was one of those 38 who was like, fuck this.
No, dude. Be the minority. Be the chosen one.
Well, I'm okay with swimming against the grain, because I'm very similar to you in that fashion. Like, it took me 5 years to go to college for the only reason that everyone was doing it. That was my only logic for not going to college, was all of you are doing this, fuck that.
Yeah, I really, really didn't want to go to college, but My mother never went, so she had the opportunity to go. She likes to be oppressed and say, I never had what you had. And that's so not true. Like, I've talked to her parents, my grandparents, and all her siblings. Like, that's not true at all. Like, why do people have to act oppressed? You know, like they went without. What is that behavior? So I guess, you know, that's something that I'm not a mother, but that parents do, you know, like if like those pageant moms or whoever, like if they didn't make it in some sort of area, then it gets, you know, projected onto their children and like, you're going to do this now to fulfill a dream that I never had. And then they resent you for it. That's how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I really just felt like I had this duty, like I had to, I didn't really have a choice. And so at the time living in San Diego, I mean, my grades were good. Were they like UC school good? Like UCLA, UCSD, UC Santa Barbara. You had to take SAT 2s as well as SAT 1s. And I didn't want to take the 2s. So I didn't even apply to UC schools. But also when they were putting all this pressure on me to go to college, I was like, well, then I'm going to go back to Texas. Like I'm getting away from you. And so, yeah, SMU is a really good school. And, it certainly was fun. It was fun. I was basically, like in a frat the whole time.
A frat or a sorority?
No,
I can't
frat.
say the other one.
Sorority.
Thank you. Yeah.
Anonymity. Yes, a fraternity. Everyone asks that because it is a pretty big Greek school, widely known to be. Is what school did you go to? Okay, then what sorority were you in? I was like, Sigma Chi. Fraternity.
Fuck yeah.
Brother Jameson. Yeah. I could drink just like the boys.
Who's Brother Jameson?
Me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
that's what all the frat guys would call me. A sweeter, a nicer way of putting it is I was a sweetheart in the frat.
Okay.
Like they called it a Sigma Chi sweetheart. And a lot of fraternities did that with like certain awesome women.
I like Brother Jameson.
Yeah, me too.
When I come to one of your comedy shows at the end when we're all clapping for you, if I yell out, Brother Jameson!
Yeah, go for it.
All right, cool.
Yeah, there might be I went to college in Dallas. There's a lot of those people that live in Austin. I bump into them all the time, still all the time. There could be one in the audience. Yeah, I know the secret handshake and everything. That doesn't always make, both of my brothers are Sigma Chi's, so they were actually pretty pissed when I went up to them and I did the secret handshake. How the fuck do you know that?
Like, well, I'm meet Brother
I'm
Jameson.
a brother. Yeah. I was like, I know I can drink more than you two pussies, too. Like,
What about you and Jonathan? How are you guys?
We're good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is he here in Texas somewhere?
He lives in Vegas.
Okay.
And he's killing it. He's in commercial real estate. He's very, very ambitious, very driven. I very much admire him and respect him and his, all that he's done and accomplished in going out on his own. He used to work for my uncle in Houston for his brokerage, his real estate company, and he hustled, like real estate, you don't get paid. He was on a draw, but like when you're in residential, you don't get paid until you get your cut of the check when you sell the house. Like you're working for free.
Right.
So that's why I thought when I started stand up, because that overlapped, I said, well, fuck, if I'm going to work for free, I better do something I really love because this is bullshit. I'm standing in the $6 million house that nobody wants to buy, that's infested with bees, has shitty plumbing because we got to make it copper. None of that PVC shit anymore because that just breaks and implodes. And like, there's such a small percentage of the world of somebody who's going to actually buy this house. And even with these incredible interest rates, when I was a real estate agent, it was like 3.75, 4%, super like half of what they are now. And I would just be miserable every time I was sitting in one of those things. And it's not safe. It's not safe. When you're in California, I can't just have my gun on me. If I was a real estate agent here, it'd be fine. But it's like on social media, hi, I'm at 14724 Rancho Santa Fe Farms Road from this time to this time on this day, all by myself. Like, come and find me. The door's open. It's a 6,000 square foot house. Like, I could be lost in here. Hey, so could you. Anybody can walk in, So I would carry like a fanny pack that had mace because I had some weirdos come in.
I bet.
And like women too, like strange women that would follow me around. Like I had this weird Russian woman that got obsessed with me. Like it was creepy, dude. And it's fine when you're at comedy shows. Like I can handle it better because I'm in a public place. But when you're just at someone's residence and you're all by yourself. So that's when I started bringing my loan officer with me, like my lending agent. I said, I just need another person in here. There's 3 stories of this thing. There's an elevator. It's a 6-car garage. If I'm showing them the butler's pantry tucked away in this corner of the house, but there's someone on the roof deck, like, I can't be sure. I can't have eyes all over this home. And I don't know whose eyes are on me. So it's just really not safe. It's like, I don't care for that.
You are very articulate. This entire time that you've been talking, I don't think that you've said one any filler words, anything like that. Would you attribute that to any training that you've done, or is this just sort of naturally how you present yourself when you show up to talk?
Well, thank you.
It's a giant compliment, by the way.
Thank you for the observation. That's nice feedback to hear. I did take a brief stint of Toastmasters in college, being a broadcast major. I think also part of it is just, you know, we're all given gifts in life, different ones. And one of them is I was in sales for a really long time. So truly, like, this is my instrument, the gift of gab, some may call it. But being a comedian definitely makes you a better speaker. I think some of the best speakers in the world are comics. Louis C.K. is so wonderfully prolific in the way he talks. There's Russell Brand. Holy shit.
Oh, that's a good example.
He's
right
a
there.
cunning linguist. Like, cunnilingus. Yeah, that man speaks, he's insane now. I mean, he's doing the Christian thing, but he is lyrical. Like, if you want to listen to a guy talk about the 12 steps in AA and how he interprets them, it might just be for everybody, because it's almost like Louis C.K., you know, reframing biblical stories and doing them funny. I said, well, fuck, I would absolutely go to Sunday school if Louis C.K. was teaching about, you know, all the hymns and the stories of times past. They all make sense and they're palatable and they're hilarious. But I believe so much in words are my love language. I love them. Writing, you know, not so much reading, but speaking, you know, I'm obsessed with words. But thank you for saying that. Sure. My fault. Oh, how could I gotta say a little shout out to my dad. He's good for some things. Yeah, Bruce. He would dock our allowance if we or liked, or he goes, she goes, and he would do where did they go if we were saying instead of says. Mm-hmm. And I hear comics do it all the time. And because he did this to me, it makes me cringe when I hear he goes and she goes and comics saying that on stage. It is really challenging not to say, and I was like, and he was like, when you're telling a story on stage. But yes, between a little bit of Toastmasters, some broadcasts, being a comic for a minute now, and then having a father who would dock your allowance if you, 1, fucked with the radio station, 2, the air conditioning, and 3, said like or while you were talking, or he goes or she goes when it should be says. Yeah. He would strike the piggy bank.
That would do it. Because that's early on when you're impressionable, you know, because that shit sticks with you for a really long time.
Yes, it did. I guess so. So it's clear as, yeah, you're proof in the pudding right here.
I was thinking about sometimes what happens is someone will speak for 3 or 4 minutes here, and in those 3 or 4 minutes, that's a lot of talking. So you get a ton of information, and I'll have 3 follow-up questions, and I don't know which one I want to ask. So what my brain is doing while it's thinking about all 3 of them, my mouth just goes, and instead I'm like, can I just sit there in silence?
It's a practice for sure.
Or just have a different filler word, or just start saying one of the questions.
True. Yeah. I'm wondering, in studying comedians, as I watch them prepare for their next joke, if I ever do watch specials, I'll know instantly when they're trying to recall the next bit, and they have some tells, I think from studying it long enough that they're thinking of what they're trying to say next. And
how do you study comedians?
See, it still happens. I would say I don't watch a lot. People always say, have you seen that new special? Have you watched so-and-so's new special? And honestly, I don't want to watch it. I'm too busy writing and producing and hosting and performing my own shit. I don't have time to watch everyone else's. I'm good. Anybody I'll stop the presses for in my whole life is if Louis comes out with something. I can wait, but not that long if Chappelle comes out with something. Then I'm going to watch it pretty quick, or I'm going to put it on in the car. But everyone else, I can get around to it. Rory Scovel. Do you know Rory Scovel?
I don't.
Okay. You have homework to do, my friend.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
He is from Atlanta, and he's been doing some acting. He is hilarious. I love him. He's been around for a while, and if you're familiar with Anthony Jeselnik, that comedian, he's essentially a very dark one-liner guy, very cocky, very, very arrogant. He doesn't say nice things about any comics, but he just recently came out saying about Rory Scovel's last special on HBO that this guy is at the top of his game, and I never endorse comedians, and I'm saying that this guy is finally, like, he's arrived. He is on fire, even though he's been around for like 20 years. But I don't know. I just... Sometimes I can't watch it because then I get mad that I didn't think of that first. So that's another reason why I don't watch them. I don't want to be watching someone else. Yeah, I don't. And then there's a lot of assholes out there that shouldn't fucking have specials. Rory Scovel does a bit on that. Oh, didn't you know you could just go, and he points to the guy in the front row, you could just go and try to get one from Netflix right now. It's totally easy. They're giving them to everyone. It's true. Mm-hmm. They are. They're not special anymore.
I have one coming out tonight.
Wouldn't doubt it. Maybe my little brother who's hiding out in the alley where he belongs, maybe he's got one coming out too. I don't know. I just, I watch them when I feel like it. I like documentaries. I watch a lot of those. And I watch...
What's the best documentary you watched recently? Or in 2024. Let's give you some time to play with.
What have I watched? I have such bad short-term memory. I can't even remember.
Did you happen to watch the Netflix 3-part series about the disappearance of flight MH370?
No.
Do you know what I'm referencing, though?
A plane that went missing?
Yep.
That was never uncovered, even the wreckage?
Correct.
Where did it end up crashing, supposedly?
To the left of China.
To the left of China. Where all the leftists are.
Or actually, sorry. So you have Asia right here and Australia right here, right? And then this is a bunch of ocean.
Right.
It went up this way and then back down, and somewhere in this ocean is where we think it probably...
What year?
I think this is the 10-year anniversary.
Whoa, that's recent.
Yeah.
I miss everything.
The most recent thing that came out a couple months or weeks or years ago, after COVID, but I don't know how recently, was someone put a video on YouTube of the ship flying through the air, and then an orb starts to circle around it. Have you heard about this?
No.
And then a second orb starts to circle around it, and then all the orbs and the plane just disappear.
Oh my god.
So the newest theory that one of my buddies told me is we think it was probably human technology, and we were testing teleporting an entire plane, and we probably fucked it up and like accidentally landed it on Jupiter or something.
So they're just up there. Who was on that plane?
239 civilians. Well, I mean, there's obviously
aliens
the pilot
now.
and a few staff.
They're boning aliens now, and they're going to come back and get us.
Yeah.
I hope they start with China.
I want them to still be alive.
I hope they start with Gaza.
Yeah, why not?
Head to the West Bank, okay, guys? I know you can hear me. I don't recall. Oh, well, I watched the Nickelodeon one, which was eye-opening because I grew up on Nickelodeon like so many others. Yep. So now I understand why Amanda Bynes is the way Amanda Bynes is. Makes a lot of sense. It's terribly sad. It doesn't surprise me. I started watching the one with Backstreet Boys with my friend in New York last week. Backstreet Boys, the guy, I forget his name, who's behind that started all the boy bands, and how sick he was. Basically just what anybody does, like a cult. Exploits them, promotes them, makes all this money, and keeps all the money for themselves and screws them over, and then they finally catch on. And they get out of their contracts, and it's horrible. It's just dancing with the devil. Oh, that's another one, Dancing with the Devil. That was the one about the TikTok cult. 3M, 8M, 7M, something. And it ended up just being some wackadoo Asian dude who runs a church called Shinkaka or Shenakai or something weird in Asian. And he lured these kids by his son, who at first was just like their cinematographer, filming these kids doing all their little TikTok dances and then bringing all these little TikTok stars together. And a cult was formed where they were just invited over for dinner one night, and they said, join the church, kids. And then all of a sudden they're alienating themselves from their families and their siblings and not just cutting them off completely, terrifying the hell out of them, just in there doing all this dancing. And they're seeing them online, but they won't respond to them, and they don't know where their children are. And they're so brainwashed, that the guy who's the head of the church, this is why it's always fucking freaky to me. I don't see rabbis doing this or synagogues or temples. I'm just saying, is saying, well, okay, so this is how much this percentage has to go back to the church, tithe. This has to come, and this comes, and this is, you're giving all this away. So they're literally left with $100 a week, and they're dancing their asses off. They're making content nonstop. Their followings are all going up into the millions on TikTok and Instagram. They're becoming huge. And this little fuck is just pocketing all of their profits and money from their sponsorships and, you know, the money that they're cultivating or accumulating from their mass followings.
I didn't hear of this.
Yeah, that's fairly new. I think it's called 7M. 7M. And what's crazy is when you watch one of these documentaries and it's still happening in real time.
Right.
Like that murder. What was that one with that family in South Carolina with that dude, that redhead dude? It was a lawyer that murdered his family. Murdoch. The Murdochs.
How recent was that?
That was in the last year.
And there's already a documentary
There
out?
was. Yeah, well, it was all kind of happening in real time that we were waiting where it ended with his upcoming court date. And then we were all waiting to get the court result. I think he's in prison.
So what
he shot his fucking wife and child, and they were very, very wealthy. And he just came from a really sick line of just occurred to me. The House of Hammer, about Army Hammer and like Arm & Hammer, the lineage of that family. It's like the Rothschilds or the Kennedys, even families that go way, way back that have extreme wealth, and the sickness of like it generationally being dropped ancestrally from the great-great-great-grandfather to the great-grand to the dad to now present-day Army Hammer, who was the one who played the Winkleman twin in Social Network, the Facebook movie.
Right.
He's been in other stuff too. He's a very good looking man, but turns out he's a real sicko, and people claim cannibalism, that he was, you know, etching his name into people's bodies, beautiful women, of course, and drinking their blood, eating their body parts and shit like that. Because when you're that wealthy, you get to a certain point where, you know, pussy just doesn't do it for me anymore. We got to eat people now. It's not cool. I need to level up my fetish. I have more money than God, so now I need to be the devil.
Can't they just like pull a Christian Grey and do like a bondage room?
Maybe that. Yeah, just eventually that wears off the novelty too, and they're just bored with that.
It's not good enough, huh?
I guess so. But that is a very good one. I would recommend. It's dark. House of Hammer.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I would watch that again.
I'll watch that with Thad.
I need to keep a list of documentaries because I've seen so many good ones. Wild Wild Country. Did you see that one?
Heard of it.
I'll send you a list.
Okay, send me a list.
That one's about a really fucked up dude named Bagwan. And somehow everyone begins to worship him. Even there's always Hollywood attachment to these cults somehow, some way, with Hollywood people and influences, whether it be big producers or directors or something creepy like that. Another one is The Root of All Evil. That's a podcast. That's about the Black Dahlia murder back in the day. And that involves, back as far as like the band, the Mamas and the Papas, and a doctor that was very prominent in Los Angeles. His house is a museum in LA. You can go see it, where he was literally, he killed the Black Dahlia in his basement.
Huh.
Crazy shit. This is from the 30s, I think. Yeah. Really sick. And all of his children and family members have reunited today to all heal from this fucked up sickness that was their family. Sometimes, I just really dealt a bad hand.
What do you think about all these documentaries in the sense of like that? Let me tell you the context I'm coming from. So a lot of my guests, I'll ask them about like what they think about things in terms of social media and the impact it's having on like teens or even adults, right? Who maybe have had social media like half their lives. Do you think us having this unlimited access to all these evil things that people do, is this good exposure? Is it bad? Is it neutral? Like, what's your take on us having access to just knowing what all these evil people are up to, and then it being sort of theatricized in a way where it's entertainment for us? You think it's no effect on us, bad effect, good effect? Where do you land on that?
Oh boy, saying bad or good on things. I am a big believer of
Bad or good on
educating people about stories. And if you are a storyteller and you can do it in such a way where I know documentarians, how hard they work on their projects, I believe that's awesome that you are given a platform to be able to produce something like that and share it with the world, because you put your heart and freaking soul into it. It's like comedians now who are self-producing their own specials. They're sticking it to the man. They're done with HBO and Prime and Netflix. Now that's probably going to screw my chances with all three of those. I'm not saying that I am. I'm not above that. But I see these other comics, and they've been, established for a lot longer than me, who are doing it. It's really impressive. I was so lucky to get to do the LMAOF thing. That was a cool thing to be recruited for. I really loved it financially as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm being paid for my art, and this is cool. And yes, OnlyFans is involved with it. I'm going to be on there like most people would think someone on OnlyFans will be. No, clothes stay on, jokes only. And I did get solicited quite a bit, because part of the contract is you have to be on the platform for like a year. I can't remember. It's over now. Like, I don't go on it much anymore. But yeah, as far as I'm addicted to it. During the lockdown, which was probably not the best time mentally for me to be. I should have been watching Schitt's Creek. I was watching all these fucked up cult documentaries about Keep Sweet and, the Salado guy who, fucked all those young girls, and just the Bhagwan story of Wild Wild Country, the Nexium cult, that involved those actors from Canada. I just went down that rabbit hole, and I couldn't stop. I was just the one about the nuns. Oh, what was that one called? Where it was a murder about a nun that finally got uncovered. It was just I couldn't get enough. And it's their fault, because they said, because you watched this, watch this one next. And then you're just it's just in the chamber already, locked and loaded. So I fully, everything is at our fingertips now. There's too many platforms. It's overwhelming. I've really worked hard to have the resources to outsource my needs to be on social media, being a content creator. You can't just be a comic anymore. It feels like you can't just, you can, but truthfully, I beat myself up all the time if I'm not posting clips and something every day. I was with a comic last week. Shout out to Lila Hart. She's a posting machine. And sometimes I just will look at her and say, I didn't even see you do that. And all of a sudden I'm getting a notification. I was tagged in something. You're sitting right next to me. We're having a meal. How did you get that up? She's just a pro. And it's really impressive. And some people really, really enjoy it. I'm working on my relationship with social media, because since I got sober, I've really wanted to be off it more and more. And it's kind of hard when you're an entertainer, because, you kind of have to be on it. But my goal is to keep relinquishing control and to have someone else just, here's my passwords. Call me if you need me, if there's a fire to put out, but you do it for me. I just don't thrive the most in that. But maybe that could change.
Yeah.
You never know.
I can tell you about this after we turn off the recording. I can say it on too. I'd rather not talk about it right now. Have you, did you know that there's technology now where it will make your clips for you, and then you can schedule them all out through a calendar, so that way you're never actually going into TikTok or YouTube or Instagram?
Yes. Yeah, I'm familiar.
Okay. I use one. It's super cool, because similar to you, I don't want to be burning an hour on Instagram. But
I don't want to be doing the part leading up to putting those things in the chamber either. I don't want to be,
I'm with you. I wish I had the money to just hire someone. It'd be really nice.
Yes, it's
It'd
a lot
be so
of
sick.
I do have a guy that cuts my clips for me, and he's awesome. His name's Sean. He lives in Kyle. He's a good dude, and he, if anyone needs somebody, just let me know. But it's just also like, I don't have all the equipment that I would like to have, top of the line camera equipment like this, to take to my shows with me. Like when I went to New York, I really wanted my set taped. It's my first appearance at Gotham at the comedy club there. And I ran to my friend. I ran to her office, and because she brought her camera equipment and had it here with her when she came to do shows in Austin. And so I went and grabbed it from her. And then it turns out there was a guy filming sets at the club. So then I didn't even end up using it. And now I got to pay him like $50 to get my set, which sucks, because I had already a professional setup, but I didn't want to be, hey, I'll just use my own, be that girl, when there was already a guy doing it for all the other comics. So I just I just kind of ate that. But also I was missing the plate that attaches the camera.
Oh, like this little.
So that one piece was missing. And Gracie said, well, maybe just someone has one at the club. So I also didn't want to be that girl running around. Do you have this part? Do you have this part that I could use? It's my first time performing here, but hey, maybe there's just one lying around. I just want to be annoying. Okay, the guy who's already taping the sets, and I'll get you the $50 at some point. And then the guy who was running the show said, don't bug me about the tapes. So I'm saying, will you be in touch? It'll probably be next year by the time I get in. Who knows? So you were asking about documentaries.
Oh, I did want to ask you a follow-up question. It's unrelated. So when I asked you the original question, you sort of groaned a little bit and said, oh, putting things through the filter of bad or good.
Oh, yes.
When you're evaluating something, whether it's documentary, social media, you name it, you're evaluating something. Instead of looking at it as bad or good, do you have another set of lens that you evaluate it through?
I mean, there's good and evil everywhere. I think everybody has a bit of darkness inside of them. When I'm going through something tumultuous in my life or healing from something, I like to watch those things on TV. So if I've been cheated on, I'm going to go watch the show called The Affair. It normalizes it. Most people look at me like I'm crazy and say, oh my God, I couldn't. That's too triggering. That would make me sick. And I said, no, it doesn't for me. I mean, I am a dark artist. Mm-hmm. My comedy's pretty dark.
Oh, that makes me want to show up so bad.
Well, let's put your money where your mouth is, Let's see if you actually follow through. There's a lot of people who say things, but then they don't do what they say they're going to do. So we'll see. I look at actions. Words are just words sometimes. But yes, I don't know. I will watch things like if I'm processing a death. I'll go find something that's about, and it just kind of normalizes it for me and saying, you're not alone. There are situations, you're not special. There's situations like this all over happening at any given moment. And then here they are on TV, and you can watch it for entertainment value too. Plus, I just really study acting all the time. There's a lot of people will say, oh, I heard that movie's not that good. But if there's an actor in that movie that I love, then they can do no wrong. I'm going to watch it regardless of what the critics say or reviews or my stupid friends. Usually my mom, well, that's not, I heard it wasn't good. But if there's an actor or an artist in that movie that I love and I followed forever and studied, then I'm still going to watch it. I don't watch movies because of the plot. I watch them because of the talent involved that are attached to the project. That's always been my way. I'm obsessed. People are always saying, you really like movies. I just had my friend Scott, who's a comic, say it to me today. He was just helping me with something earlier today, and I don't even realize it. But my brothers and I, we would not really speak in regular English. We would just talk in movie quotes and just go around. And my dad would chime in every so often, and we'd get on his ass. You're saying it wrong, So we love that. That's always been a pastime, and it still is for me today.
Earlier, when you were talking about the Kill Tony show in Cedar Park, you were really fired up about the fact that there were people taking stage time that weren't comics. Why does that particular it seems like an obvious answer, but I want to ask it anyways. Why do you get so fired up about that? And where's this passion for comedians getting their stage time or whatever it was you were fired up about? Where does that fire come from?
You had to bring that up again, did you? Did you now, David?
I like to talk things you're passionate about.
I've been on Kill Tony a couple of times. Once in San Diego, the city I started in, and then again when I was at the Vulcan before it went over to the mothership. And I've just always known the history of the show from my experience in viewing it or being on it. It's for comics. Those that are actually trying to do it, are actively doing it. I mean, the regulars, Hans and William, they've been comedians for a long time. I just didn't really understand that operation, and it seemed very chaotic. And of course, it was their first arena show. That is, on that scale, taking your show from a comedy club to an arena, that is a vast volume difference, and logistics and the orchestration and the organization of it all is probably, I mean, how could you know until you just walk through it the first time? And then just like anything, like when I'm just producing a comedy show, okay, what can I change for the next one? what didn't work for this last one that maybe we could try for the next one until you keep trying things and until hopefully they click. But I was just bummed out that just so many ridiculous assholes and buffoons, because when we were checking in that day, it was all Mothership Club employees and staff that were signing people in with the clipboards, just like they do every Monday outside the Mothership for Kill Tony on Mondays. Mm-hmm. But this was on a grander scale, right? A lot more people signing up. It's an arena, so they wanted to fill the arena. But these people that were standing in lines, I went with another comic. Her name's Chrissy Vera. She's very funny. And it was New Year's Eve. They'd already done the show the night before. So some comics had gone both nights. I had a show the night before, but I said I at least want to go to one. Yeah. And I had no plans for New Year's Eve. So we went and we were in these lines and getting our wristbands, and we had to give, like per usual, our Instagram and our name. And I was told that they were checking Instagrams to validate that we were in fact comics. And also when we got up to the front of the line to sign our name, we were asked, you are a comedian, correct? Do you have a minute prepared? So obviously a lot of people were just lying, and or there was no time to check these accounts before the show started to, confirm that people were actually comics. So once you're in the show and people just keep getting picked who are just, they're not in the comic section. They're people from the audience that bought tickets for the show. And after maybe the third or fourth one, we're all looking at each other like, what the fuck, dude? This is bullshit. Why are comics not getting picked? It's not cool. That's not what the show is about, I thought. Right. So I am not about, we deal with a lot of shit of stage time being taken from us, whether I'm just like realizing I've dealt with it just in Dallas this past week. If you're performing at that club, you can't perform at that one around the corner.
Why?
I'm like, it's called politics? A radius clause. It's political. So radius honestly,
clause.
Made up words. I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but whatever. It's not right. It's not fair. We work hard. At least the comics that I know are out there hustling, whether they're show running or they're out on the road. It's a grind. And, any dipshit that says, oh, I'm going to be a stand-up comic, it's like they think it's all glam and it's all fun. It's a serious amount of work, and you have to really fucking love it. Yeah. And when you are dealing with people that are trying to take away the currency, because it's not even like we're getting paid all the time. The currency is stage time. Now I demand being paid, but it's like, if you're taking that away, then what is the point? So why are we giving this amazing opportunity to those who are really in it, who truly love it and take it seriously, who drove here from other cities and states? Yes, there's the people that came and bought the ticket to come and watch it as somebody to be entertained, but we're there to work.
Yeah.
Fuck you. And that's all I have to say about that. And Shiva in Dallas should have gotten the 10K. And I even wrote Mr. Beast. So Mr. Beast, if you ever see this, we know you have another 10K lying around. You could spare it. Please send it to our friend Shiva in the DFW area. He's been doing comedy for like almost a decade, and I hope he's not living in his car anymore. But he sure as fuck could have used it a lot more than that piece of shit from the Midwest who came in and said he broke his dick. By the way, his dick was fixed. And he showed it to Tony and Red Band and everyone. He flashed them all on stage, and he's the one that walked away with a case of money. And he did not need it. He was not living in his car. Even Mr. Beast was like, maybe should we give it to that guy that's living out of his car? I don't know. That's actually the one that does comedy. Even Mr. Beast knew. He's a good man. So hopefully one day Shiva will get his payoff.
Do you know this guy?
Is that Greg?
That's CJ. He's security at the Mothership.
Oh, wait. Let me get a good look at him. No, but he looks like this kid, Greg DePaul, who is also a comic. They look similar. Okay. No, I don't know CJ.
He's a good guy. If you ever see him at the Mothership, say hello.
I will.
Hello. What is the most important question that no one has asked you on a podcast before?
Why don't you just try me and surprise me? It could be this one. Go for it. Ask me another question. You've asked me some pretty intense ones already. Like, do you believe in good and evil?
That's not exactly what I asked.
What should I know before I do cocaine for the first time?
Has it been fun? Or does it feel like it's been the most intense podcast you've been?
I mean, you can tell I'm passionate about comedy.
Right.
And I'm at a point in my career where I'm tired of dealing with idiots, and I'm tired of, I just want to work with good people as much as I can find them and just be smarter about whom I let into my orb. And you learn all the time. It's constantly. I mean, I learned so much just with my week of shows last week, and venues and clubs and rules and politics. And I will always fight for the comic. It's not like we get benefits. It's not like we have 401ks. We do what we love because we love it. And oftentimes it's not for a lot of money. And it's, I just know a lot of people who are really, really funny that are underrated in this city. And it's really insane. Like 20 years from now, they've made documentaries about the Comedy Store and stuff. Like there will be probably documentaries made about Austin's, comedy scene,
right?
How it's evolved. It's every time I'm on the road and then I come back, I don't know. I like to move. I like to do geographics. I like to experience new cities. I get an itch and I scratch it, and then I'm like, okay, let's just follow this, see where it goes. But I've been frustrated in Austin a bit as a showrunner, as a performer, with the amount of people moving here thinking that they're going to go on Kill Tony and all of a sudden get a huge glow up. And it's just, a lot of people, not enough stage time, maybe. Not enough, the supply and demand thing. It's applying very, very heavily here right now. And I don't know. It's been quite an evolution. It has. I never thought I would move back to Texas. I thought I would be in California forever, that was it. But, life changes. You change with it.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what question anyone's ever asked me, to be honest. That's been an outrageous one that stands out. I have a really bad short-term memory. I don't know. I can't remember stuff like that. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Fair enough. Is there, in your opinion, from your observations, is there any realistic, I don't want to call it a solution, but what would you like to see happen in the Austin comedy scene, in the sense of like, how could it be better? And it could even be something wild, like the comedians need to start a union so we're all getting minimum benefits, or, I don't know, like, this is not a probing question. I'm not expecting any particular answer. I'm just genuinely interested from someone who's so passionate, that's been observing how the Austin comedy scene got to where it is today. How could it be even better for the comic in the next 6 months, 3 years, whatever amount of time you're thinking?
I believe that, and this is not something that will change, but those that are moving here in drones and waves that are coming from Timbuktu, middle of nowhere, Indiana, that think that they're just entitled to spots and don't have to grind like the rest of us did when there was that first wave, right out of the lockdown, when the lockdown was still happening in New York and California and other states. I think Chicago was another market, which motivated all of that migration. the Messiah, Joe Rogan's disciples, that they come here and they think, oh, well, like I'm gonna eat my cake, that's why I came here, and that you've been here for a week and a half and you're blowing me up thinking you're gonna get spots when I've been out here grinding for years. Fuck you. Like, you can go grind at Mike's. Let me see that you're working, that you are busting your ass, because these spots on shows are coveted and you're not entitled to them just because you decided to move here, and that you're just gonna go ahead and dive in. Think of those same people. That would be like me moving to Los Angeles and leaving San Diego. Honestly, just in San Diego, and just thinking automatically I'm going to start doing shows after not going to mics constantly, running a mic, show producing, doing all of these things that you think that you're just that the audacity to just jump in and say, oh yeah, no, I'm entitled to that. I automatically am gonna, or going to New York and thinking that you're not gonna pound pavement first with when you're coming from middle of nowhere America, and just because you were doing this in, you know, South Bend, Indiana, or somewhere where there's one comedy club that's like half a club, you know, it's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
You know, go grind. Let me see you working, and have been here for more than a week.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not dealing with that. Yeah. So I like to trim the fat. I like to weed them out, you know.
I wonder if eventually they just naturally will be.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll be here for
it's
6
getting more and
months
more
or 2
expensive to live
years.
here.
Yeah.
It's going to happen naturally. It'll be a natural evolution that will happen, I think. Because when I first moved back here, I was paying $800 for rent. I mean, that was a significant difference coming from San Diego, where
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, I was paying for my apartment in downtown San Diego like $1,300 a month, but I could also walk and be near the ocean within 3 blocks. You know, I had the big naval ship right there. It was right by San Diego Airport. And Coronado Island was right there. Obviously, you know, we have like the big naval, there's Oceanside Marines, and then we have the Naval Academy. So, and I could walk to the comedy clubs, but I don't see any ocean around here.
No.
And so now that I'm paying, my rent is what I was paying in San Diego. Like, that says a lot. I mean, I spent $9 on a latte today. This is Austin. You know, it's not New York. It's so funny because in New York, I almost shit myself. I found an Israeli coffee shop because my friend lives in debatably one of the highest end neighborhoods in New York, Tribeca, near the financial district. And I just found the nearest coffee shop, which was this place called Motto. And I ordered what I wanted, not really looking at the prices because I was, you know, on vacation mode and enjoying myself. And I got a latte, an egg white frittata, like quiche thing, and a banana bread for $12.
Dang.
$11.90. Today I spent $9 on a coffee, and I didn't even get a bougie milk. I just get the regular cow juice in it. It's not even with the upgrade, the nut milk, which is a mindfuck in itself because it's really, really cheap to make oat milk. Milking a cow and going through all the motions of that should be the more expensive one. But it's something that comes from a little Quaker oat for some reason that is an extra $1. There's an actor that I love named James Cromwell. He's in a lot of stuff, and I love this man, a man who could clearly afford the $1 upcharge for milk substitutions. He super glued himself to a Starbucks table in protest for the upcharge for nut milks. Not too long ago in New York City.
Like literally? Like
Yeah, he super glued himself to a table. Like, fuck with this. Stop charging more money for patrons to have to pay for your dumb nut milks. Like,
Your dumb nut
your
milk.
dumb nut milks. You're all nuts. This is ridiculous. Like, I can't believe it's extortion. And yeah, I mean, I was dog sitting out in Leander, Bumblefuck, Texas, for my friend who has a boxer, and I went to find a coffee shop because they just have a shitty Keurig, and I'm a coffee snob. I go to this place. It's a brewery to get a latte. $9 again. I'm like, thank God I bought an espresso at home. This is insane. 9 times 7. I mean, I'm looking at what, $300? That's my car payment in coffee, just to get a coffee, no food. But I was floored in seeing that. That's all I could get. All of that. I was like, this is worth moving to New York City alone for. That I can get a snack, a breakfast, and a coffee with a milk of my choosing for $12. Is that insane?
Yeah.
So fuck you, Austin. Like,
Do you think you might go to New York at some point permanently?
That's a great question. I get really excited when I think about New York. I do.
Outside of pricing, what else do you get excited for?
Just the energy of the city. God, I feel such history, rich history, just the architecture. I love riding the subway, not paying for a car. Yes, obviously it goes back to the money thing, and I know everyone thinks New York is so expensive. I don't think it's any different than here. I really don't. I would be saving $700 a month not paying car insurance or for a car payment, gas, all of that. I mean, it's $2 every time you ride the subway, but I use my fucking legs. I walked like 30 miles in 5 days when I was there.
Walk?
Yeah.
Stop the madness.
I did. I walked
Ridiculous.
all the time. People thought I was insane though, because I would have a show on the Upper West Side and then I would tell them that I walked to West Village. They're like, that's like 3.5 miles, dude. I walk everywhere too. I said, I'm just so excited to be here. And I ate the whole way. I got a Gray's papaya hot dog, and then I got a slice of pizza, and then I got a donut, and then I can justify it. It's like, I don't have to go to the gym. I'm walking everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're just seeing so much. And, I'm around Jews, which like I'm not around in Austin at all.
There's no Jews here, huh?
There's none, not really.
Jews?
No, not really. I can't even really think of that many comics. Not here who are. I like that feeling. It adds to my essence.
Yeah.
It's just exciting and new, and I'm obsessed with Broadway. Like I love the symphony. I love the arts in every single way. Like I saw a Broadway show when I was there about King Henry VIII's 6 wives, and I did a variation of that here for Alice in Wonderland. Like we used that soundtrack for our show. So when I got to actually see it, I was in tears. I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. It's like that dumb dipshit that they got to sing our national anthem and she botched it because she was drunk at the Major League Baseball game a few weeks ago. It's like, why didn't they just pick one of these Broadway stars to sing it? We couldn't find anyone else to sing it. Just like we can't find anyone else to be president. We couldn't find anyone else to sing the national anthem and not fuck it up. Come on. Like, let me be the talent manager to recruit for presidents, recruit for singers. Just because she's a Grammy nominee, never going to be a winner. And then she's blaming it on alcohol. It's like, dude, this is a PR stunt. Don't you dare steal the valor of true alcoholics. How dare you? You're going to rehab. Fuck you. So that's how I feel about that. Yes, I get very, very, very excited to be in New York. Do you think I would blend in?
Yeah, I don't know much about New York. I know my sister just moved to Manhattan from Sacramento.
Whoa.
Not just. She's been there 13 months now, I want to say. But her biggest thing when she moved there was just finding a place to stay. It took her like 2 or 3 months.
I have some leads through the comedy world that if it aligns, it aligns. I'm not going to put a ton of pressure on it. I'm being drawn, every time I go back and perform and great things happen. I just sometimes need a change. I've been here for almost 4 years, and this is my home state. And I don't know. Life is short. You can always come back. I said that about California. Hey, if we get out of this lockdown here, maybe I'll come back. But then life happened and things evolved, and I stayed here.
Yeah.
And now it's like you can always come back. It's not against the law to come back. You can go try it, and there's no harm, no foul. You tried it. And if it works, great. Keep going. If it doesn't, fine. Pivot. Make another change. So there's nothing illegal about that. But how will you ever know if you're just thinking about it?
Right.
And you don't go experience it. So I will let you know if that happens. Time will tell.
Yeah.
More to be revealed.
I really love that you just said that, because that guy actually in the blue shirt that I'm holding, he has a podcast, and he was talking about how he moved to Austin from Europe and somewhere in the UK, I think. And he said at the end of the day, the thing that got me over the fence was that I could just go back. Like, why am I making such a big mental exercise about moving out of my hometown when literally I could just move back? And that, when I heard that, that's when I was like, I'm going to go to Austin, and one of the people I want to meet when I'm there is him, to thank him for that gift he gave me. And I believe, I have this delusional belief that every episode we record on this podcast is made for at least one person. And while you've said like 12 fire things tonight, I think that one of the things that's going to happen as a result of you coming on tonight is someone who's been thinking about doing something, hopefully not being a comic in Austin, but anything else, someone who's been thinking about
the wall is up, bitches. You have to pay the toll now.
Yeah, there's a $10,000 entry fee just to cross the border. But in all seriousness, for someone who's been thinking about like picking up that guitar and writing their first song, or picking up the piece of paper and writing their first book, or moving out of their hometown, and you feel trapped there for some reason, I hope that your message resonates with them, and they're like, you know what? I can leave this fucking zip code. I can go.
Yes.
Just not to Austin.
Yes. Yeah. The border is closed around Austin.
Maybe it'll be someone in Austin who's always been wanting to get out, and they'll hear that and be like, you know what? I'm going to New York.
Yeah, well, I think I was talking to my friend who's a yoga teacher here, and she's comedy adjacent is a term I keep hearing being thrown around. She's around it a lot, and she's very supportive, and she actually is a musician as well. She's a hell of a yoga teacher. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
She is opening, for the second time, my show next week, Yuck It Up, at Dark Horse, which I'll hope you come. And she was telling me, as I continue to feel like everyone keeps moving here, she said, I am constantly talking to people who are moving out. Oh. So I think people are fed the fuck up with how much this is a small city. It's not like Houston or Dallas, where I'm from, where I used to live. Those are huge cities. There's a reason Houston's the 4th largest city in the country. Dallas is an enormous metroplex. You go from Dallas, Fort Worth, it's enormous. Austin, you've seen our freeway. There's professors at UT that can't even afford to live near campus anymore. They have to like live in Pflugerville, which is also becoming very expensive, as is Round Rock. All the people that are moving here, and people need to be in certain school districts. I'm not just talking about comics, but it's like, I was so spoiled when I first moved back here. I don't know how some of these people are hacking it that are just now moving here. I would hope for that to be true and things just to be a natural evolution and they'll sort themselves out, because truly the infrastructure of this city does not support the amount of human beings that are migrating here. So maybe it's just like all cyclical. It's people are like tired of it, because you hear so many. It's not the same Austin anymore, and I just saw like in my neighborhood, so many for sale signs have gone up. It's insane. Like every single house, almost overnight, has gone up, and I'm wondering, are those people leaving, or are they? What are they doing?
Or are they just moving to a different place in Austin?
I don't know. I'm so curious, because it just really seemed alarming, the volume of for sale signs that went up all at the same time, which is so dumb, because they're all going to be competing against each other.
Right.
But anybody who's deciding to stay, their property value will go up. Yeah. And now I'm putting on my broker hat. Yeah, it's been a crazy life. I'm very, very excited to see where comedy takes me.
What night is your show next week?
Thursday.
Unfortunately, I'll be recording.
Whatever.
But because I am going to show up to one, and because I want the audience to as well, where can we best follow you and find out about your shows?
Everything across the board is Lauren Jameson. Lauren Jameson sounds like the whiskey. Sorry, folks, it's not spelled the same. Jamison.
Do you have a website?
Jam is on. LaurenJamesonComedy.com.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Is there a live calendar that's kept pretty updated?
I do my best to update it.
Cool.
You know, there's just so many ways. Obviously, Instagram is probably the best hub to find things in real time.
Right now.
Because I put my ticket links in there, because they allow you. They used to only allow you one link, and now it's 5. So I will add that. I tried the Linktree thing. I didn't really keep that up as much. I like to have a website. I just think that's, really indicates. I always get a little squeamish or, skeptical if I find a business that doesn't have a website, or they just use Facebook as their website. I'm thinking, I don't think I want to try that place. That's cheating. Get a professional website. So that's usually a good place to go. But yeah, come to the show next Thursday. Dark Horse, Yuck It Up. My production company is called Yuck It Up. And then if you're going to be in the San Diego area, I'll be there the following week, back at my home club, Mic Drop. And then I'll be going on to perform at the Tempe Improv for the first time. So I'll be very excited. I haven't performed in Arizona yet, so that'll be cool.
Excellent.
Yay!
Huzzah. Did you have fun?
Hoo-ah. I always have fun.
Good. I had a blast.
I always have fun.
You made my job easy. I just got to sit here and listen to you preach about all things comedy.
Look at the Jew preaching.
And whatnot. So this was awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Thank you.
To the audience, thank you guys for being here this week. If you stuck with us, obviously you liked the episode, or maybe you're just strung out on crack and you didn't even know you were listening. Either way, I would love it if you would do something for me that will take 3 to 4 minute stops and 3 to 4 minute stops and none of your money. Go subscribe to the YouTube page and leave us a 5 stars on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you do this for me, I promise to continue finding amazing guests like Lauren, the Kosher Barbie, Barbie, to bring onto the show to give you fun, inspiring, laughter-filled stories that will hopefully motivate you to chase after whatever it is you've wanted to be chasing after lately. With that in mind, have a great Saturday night, and we will see you guys next week. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.